Yes, 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 my friends. Eric Green here, Charlotte, North Carolina. Today we are happy, happy, happy because I have my coffee. Anyway, hope you guys are doing fantastic today. Wanted to share just really a quick story with you. As some of you guys know, Ray and I, with the Online Launch Agency, we're also involved in one of the things we do quite a bit of actually is we sell physical products on the internet pretty much daily, and that's through multiple brands. But one of the brands that is really exploding right now is a brand called Phenom Elite. Okay, which started out with football gloves, but now has branched into baseball gloves, golf. A full line of a separate brand called Phenom, which is a full line of now we're tapping into MMA, mixed martial arts, and doing deals with athletes and all sorts of stuff. Super cool stuff, right? But as you guys know, we want to branch out into multiple sports with this particular brand. So, and one of the sports I obviously love is basketball. As you guys know, my son plays. But I've always loved basketball. I've always loved watching it. I can't really play well, but I've got a pretty good shot. So usually I do pretty well in horse. That's where I take people's money. But playing, no. So anyway, we wanted to break into basketball. And so, one of the areas, anytime you're breaking into something new, right? What's going on in the marketplace, right? It's R&D is there. You have to do your research. You have to see sort of what's going on. So we thought about what's a simple product going in, and we thought about compression pants and the shooting sleeve. So they wear the shooting sleeves, and then I know how popular, because I'm around it all the time, how popular compression pants are now. You go to tournaments and half the kids on the court have compression pants on now. So it's like the in thing, right? So what we did was we wanted to, because we do, custom stuff. So we have a lot of cool custom football gloves. Like we have the Joker glove that's awesome. We just launched the Randy Moss signature gloves. So a lot of super cool stuff going on with custom type stuff. So what I did is I sat down with Christian, right? Because he's tapped in. And I said, what sort of saying would be cool on these compression pants and the sleeves? So we started talking about ideas. And I'm not going to go into the idea because I'll tell you what we're going to do and how we're going to test the market with it. But we came up with a phenomenal idea, like an idea, something that like literally millions of kids across the world are using this term when they're on the court. And it was developed or put together by a kid out of New York that just took it viral and it went global, right? So there's this term that's used inside of basketball. I wasn't even familiar with it, to be honest. But I started doing research. I started going on, looking at Instagram and Twitter, and I started looking at the movement, and I started looking at how big they had built this term inside of the world of basketball, and it's just blown away. So what are we going to do? How are we going to market and test this, right? What we're going to do is we're going to actually create mock-ups, right? So we can create mock-ups of the actual compression pants or the sleeve, exactly what they're going to look like. Okay, we can put the term on it along with our brand, and we can we can spend $50 to $100 on a Facebook ad, target that specific audience, right? So it would be, people associated with or who associated with basketball. We can put that mock-up graphic in a Facebook ad, run an ad, $50 to $100, and get feedback on what people think. Now think about that, right? So I labeled this use unconventional resources, right? So we wanted to get into basketball. We felt like the easiest entry in the products would be the compression pants and the shooting sleeve. right? Because we had already had ties to those things with, because we do compression based stuff in the football arena and that sort of world. So we had ties to that, manufacture all that. So now we know the products we want to enter the market with. So now the unconventional resource was asking a 13-year-old kid, my son, tell me what's hot, what's what are the trends right now in basketball, what is being said, because we want to put some kind of a saying on these compression pants in the sleeve. So we masterminded that. He gave us the idea. I researched the idea. It's everywhere. Now, instead of spending money on initially buying product, right? So we have some product in and advertising and rolling it out. We can actually do a test ad on a mock-up pick showing what we have and actually get feedback for $50 to $100, get some great feedback from that target audience, whether or not this particular product is something of interest to them, right? That is unconventional, using unconventional resources, right? And being smart in your marketing, right? Now, we already sort of have the formula with these other sports, right? We know how to, we do these influencer contracts. So we go out and we look for athletes who have social media followings, who have some influence in that particular sport. And then we do a deal with them where we are building like an apparel line for them. We're putting our gloves on them, maybe with these compression pants and sleeve. After we push it to the market, we find some ball players with, some basketball players, street ball players that have big social media, and we do a revenue share with them. If they go out, they wear the product, they give us like a 30, 45-second video. We edit. We will do all the marketing, push their brand out there, and then we're splitting revenue because they have a following, right? They have influence in that particular sport. So it's a perfect win-win scenario that we have in place. So that formula is already proven. We're already bringing athletes on board with that formula. So now we're punching into a brand new sport, basketball, right? And we're able to test all that for pennies, right? So I just give you some ideas, guys, so that I tell you these stories just to hopefully give you some ideas based on what you're doing. There's great ways to sort of go test the market. If you're going to do a Facebook ad and you're selling a particular product, or you're in a network marketing deal, you have a business, is there a creative way to put out to your target market to ask them questions? Is it worth spending some money on a Facebook ad, $50, $75, $100, to get feedback from your niche market, to get feedback, right? Hey, Zach, so it's things to think about. It's thinking there is no box in the world of marketing. And I am constantly, I'm always trying to figure out, how the market's going to react. And before you go spend a lot of money, and before you go, like we go make investment on purchasing, 20 pair, 100 pair of these compression pants or sleeves, just so we have some in stock. Why not test the market? Why not do a mock-up? Why not put that in front of the niche market for $50 to $100 on a Facebook ad? And we'll be able to tell based on the engagement, based on the responses, what people think of that idea. And having this term on these compression pants or sleeve, if they love it, we know we probably got a winner and they're going to buy it, right? Do you need Jordan's number? I'd love Jordan's number. But I don't think we're going to hook up with Jordan, right? So we compete with Nike and, of course, Under Armour. Those are the two big boys. But, what Nike and Under Armour tend to do is when you have little companies like us that are like pests in the marketplace and that sort of thing, sometimes they come in and they stroke out a giant check and they say, we're just going to buy you out so we can get rid of you. So I think the CEO and the owner may be the end game of what we're trying to do there. So it's pretty exciting. 23 to 30 to 45. What are you saying there, Zach? Are those Jordan's numbers? Yeah, I got you. 45. That was when he was with Washington. Hey Bianca, how you doing? I'd rather support small. Yeah, yeah. I mean, we don't. The Randy Moss deal was kind of interesting. The agent actually, through our social media marketing, connected with our co-owner Joshua. So they sort of reached out. So that was sort of unique. But most of the athletes that we're working with are more entrepreneurial thinkers. So, when they sign deals with, say, a Nike or Under Armour, so these large companies, they're pretty much like they can't do anything else, right? So, I mean, obviously, if the contract's big enough, awesome. But if they're a smaller player, a lot of these players are starting to think more entrepreneurial. They don't want to be locked down. So, in other words, if they do a deal with a company and the company says, well, you can't promote any other brand. Well, what if they can go out and put together, their own deals. So a lot of these athletes are starting to also get smart because they know they have a shelf life in the professional world, and especially the mid-level athlete, because they may be only in the league for 1 or 2, 3 years, or something happens, or they get dropped back down to the practice squad or whatever. So these guys know they have a really short window in that world. And a lot of these young guys are social media is normal to them. It's what they grew up with. We had to learn it being older, right? We've had to learn it and apply it. This is what they sort of have grown up with. And so it's natural to them. So they have already built large followings. What they don't know how to do is monetize their followings, right? But they're entrepreneurial thinkers. So they're looking for ways to monetize, right? And you have all these influencers out here, right? You would be surprised. You have some big athletes. We've seen them, some big athletes with like really poor social media presence, right? They don't even leverage it. And then you've got some athlete that maybe is a C-level athlete who you really don't even know who they are. And they have like, 250,000 followers on Instagram, right? Because they work social. So those guys, in my opinion, they get it because, but where they're falling is obviously the monetization. They don't, and the agents, anyway, I'm not going to get on the agent thing. I haven't been doing this very long, as far as what we've been doing here, but, agents are a trip. That's all I'll say. I would say there's probably out of 5 agents, there's, one good out of 5, so, they're looking for the big hits. They're not looking long-term, I don't think, for the athlete, most of them anyway. Dak Prescott with Cowgirls would be Dak. Yeah. Dak's got a lot. Dak would be good. What's the other guy's name? The running back. Ezekiel Elliott. Yeah, I don't think Ezekiel we would want to mess with. And I love the fact that you say Cowgirls because I'm not a Cowboys fan. By the way, if you're still watching this, what NFL team do you here in the USA do you support? Unfortunately, and I'm not a bandwagon, my team is horrible. I grew up in Jacksonville, Florida. I was there when the Jaguars were first, came into the league. I'm a Jag fan. That's my primary team. Yes, we lose pretty much terribly every year. And then, of course, I support, since I've been in Charlotte so long in North Carolina, I do support the Panthers as well. But I'm a Jag fan, unfortunately. Tampa Bay Bucks, sweet. Eagles. Oh, Zach, of course you're an Eagles. Dude, I got a story about the Eagles. This is how Philly fans, I've never been to a game in Philly, but I can tell you, I went to a game in Jacksonville and Philadelphia came in town, and their fans were so crazy and obnoxious in our home city, and they were ready to take on the entire stadium. I'm like, I can't imagine what these people are like in their own stadium. There is no way. If I ever went to Philly and I was supporting the opposite team, I would never let anyone know that. I wouldn't wear any apparel with that sports team's name on it because Philly fans are out of control. Saints, yep. Texans. Dak's a hometown guy. I like Dak. Dak's a solid guy, and he'll be a big time quarterback in the league. The Colts. I love the Colts and I hate them. Love and hate. Yeah, I can see that. I can see why you'd love and hate the Colts. All right. So what else? Any other stories? I want to just kind of killing time this morning. Let's see. The Colts ever get any offensive line? Yeah. It's the same story. They get a bad rap, very knowledgeable fan base. No, Philly is super knowledgeable. It's just probably just that small percentage of Philly fans that are just nuts and out of control. And I don't know. I've never seen any fans that crazy at the opposing people's stadium. I think they threw out, like, when I was there, it was like a whole row of Philly fans, like 3 rows down from me, and I think they kicked them all out. And they were literally turning around at us, cussing at us, saying, like, F you, bring it on. And I'm thinking, like, dude, you're in a freaking stadium full of Jaguar fans. What the hell's wrong with you? It was crazy. It's the craziest thing I ever saw, to be honest. All right, what else? So just so you guys understand. So influencers. Now, influencers, I'll just bring this over to marketing, right? So finding influencers, right? Finding influencers and doing deals with influencers, is crucial in, if you're building a network marketing. Let's take network marketing. It's all in the way you present it, right? If you can find influencers, right, and sell them on your product service opportunity, right? They're going to have a bigger splash than someone without influence, right? So a lot of times I don't know, in the network marketing world, they say, recruit up or whatever. I don't use any of those terms, right? I just say, I use the word influencer. So if I'm looking at somebody and let's say I'm selling a health product, I can go talk to any Tom, Dick, or Harry, right, about my deal or my health product. But probably what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to go out and do some research and find some people who already have influence in the health niche. Maybe they have a large following in social. They already have content out in the marketplace. They're already providing value. They have influence inside that marketplace. And I'm going to be on a regular basis trying to connect with those type of people. While I'm doing regular recruiting or advertising, I'm going to try to land some of those people, because those people can get a message out quickly to a whole boatload of people fast, right? Which could dramatically explode your business. So, and here's the thing about influencers. If, let's say, these athletes, it's just about educating them. It's like, look, you have influence, you have followers, but you're not monetized. If we can put these gloves on your hands and you do a 30-second video, right, that we're going to market, which we're going to put your brand out there, then you put that in front of your audience, and then we're going to do a rev share split. You don't have to do anything but a 30, 45-second video. That's all we need from you as the influencer. And, and we can go out and sell gloves together and cut you a check once a month, right? And build your brand. So it's about educating the influencer as to the benefit, right? So if you think about like an athlete, they go, wow, okay, so I don't have to you don't have to build the e-com site. You don't have to find the product. You don't have to edit your video. You don't have to do any of the marketing or advertising. You don't have to do anything but get us, because you're an influencer in this niche and you have a following and audience. All we need is basically you in our gloves saying, that you recommend the gloves. There you go. That's it. So once they understand, like, okay, this is pretty cool, then they've been educated. They're like, why wouldn't I do that? That's awesome, right? So if you can figure out a way with these influencers based on your product, your service, or whatever, to show them how their influence, is going to benefit them greatly, right? And how you're going to be able to basically do a bulk of the work, or the work's already done. They just need to share it to their audience. Then they'll talk to you. Trust me. They will talk to you. So, I just don't think people go after influencers enough. I think people are so like, scared to death. Oh my God, this person has 500,000 people following them on, their fan page or your Instagram or, whatever. And there's no way this person's going to be interested or talk to me. These people have massive influence. They have networks, they have followings. If you can show them how to monetize that and it fits within their target audience and they like what you have, they're going to talk to you. Right? They're going to talk to you, but that's how you have to think. Most people are so focused on trying to get the guy who has no following, who's, asking them a million questions, who is just a pain in the ass, right? It's easier to target entrepreneurs. It's easier to target people who are already sort of tapped in, who are already building a social presence, who are already doing all these things. It's easier to target these people because they're already dialed in. It's harder to target people that you have to like educate first and convince, like, oh, get in social and build a brand and do all these things and yada, 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 yada. Right. And like, they're a pain in the ass, these types of people. Like, I don't, why would I go after someone like, that's what advertising's for. That's why I have ads out there working, filtering through people, and then people who are interested in sort of learning and going to the next level we can connect with. But if my day-to-day, like connecting, I'm trying to connect with influencers all day long. And it's not hard to find influencers, right? It's not hard to find influencers. If you're in a particular niche, whatever your niche is, you need to go out and you need to identify, the top 50, 100 influencers inside of that niche. Because influencers also follow influencers. So you can look at a top influencer and I may not even go after that top level influencer, but I may look and say, oh, here are some B-level influencers or whatever. I mean, I'm just throwing that out there. There's no term for it. But here's some mid-level influencers, and I may that are following this giant influencer, and I may start reaching out to those guys, right? Those are the people I'm connecting with every week. Boom, 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 boom. Following, connecting, and looking for opportunities, right, to help them monetize their followings, their brands, and that whole thing. Because think about this. To me, it's just as much work as just reaching out to random people about your business. To me, it's just as much work, right? But you land an influencer, okay, and they get a message. They can get a message out to thousands of people instantly. Think about that. So if they love a product, like let's say I'm in a network marketing deal and they love the product and they use the product and they have large influence and they're going to, and now they feel comfortable, they want to share. They can share that product instantly through social media, through their following, to thousands and thousands of people at once, right? So what's more valuable to you? An influencer like that, bringing them in, and I'm not saying it's not valuable to bring someone brand new and to work with them and all that, but my take on all that is very simple. The only way I got leveled up is through my effort. Like it wasn't that I had coaches and mentors and I had all that stuff, right? But I still had to do the work, me personally. So they have to do the work. So with those new people, I'm like, hey, here's what I did, or here's what we did, or here's training. But I can't sit with them daily, and I will not sit with them daily to go through that stuff and to actually take action on it. I'm not a babysitter. That's not what I do, right? Nobody babysitted me, and anyone that I know that's successful in this industry or that's made it leveled up and that's full-time in the industry, nobody babysitted them, right? If they didn't know an answer, they Googled it. They went to YouTube. They went through the training. They applied it. They failed. They figured it out. They found a way, right, to get things done. That's it. So knowing that, that's my role, is bring that type of person in, get them the information they need, get them the training, but ultimately they have to do what's necessary to get to level up. Now with an influencer, obviously a little bit different, right? Because they have a large influence. They have a large network. They have a lot of people that will look at their content already, right? So then I'm trying to support that person and giving them what they need to go out and do promotion, right? This is how. Look, man, in network marketing, like I'm not a network. I mean, we built teams and we service like we work with new network marketing. We do Facebook advertising and build funnels and do content syndication for, all the way up to 7-figure network marketers. Behind the scenes, we do this with our online launch agency. But here's what I can tell you. And every big network marketer I've ever worked with, or even any of the organizations we built in the tens of thousands, I can count on my hands, 2 hands, where that entire growth came from. Less than 10 people, almost in everything I've built. And the same applies to all these big earners that we do work with, because I ask them, and they can point to, usually it's under 10 people. Sometimes it's one hand. Like, oh, okay, well, I brought this guy in. He took off. And then through his network, we found this guy like at level 6, and he was a killer, straight killer. Boom, we found this lady. I brought this lady in, straight killer. And it's through these, 5 to 10 people that helped me put 250,000 people in a network. That's the truth. That's a fact. That's a 100% fact. That's a 100% fact. So I always listened, always thought about that. And I said, well, why am I? Yes. Okay. You can go out and do quantity and put in hundreds of people and then build and tap, they call it tap routing, tap through your network to find those whales, right? Those killers. But I'm like, why not just go to influencers from the jump and constantly be reaching out to influencers on the jump? Why can't I bypass that? Why can't I go sponsor 20 people and 7 of them will become whales, right? And I have just found that influencers, the 80-20 rule, right? I've just found that influencers, people who are already have some success, they already have influence, that if they really like what you're doing and they're tapped into it, that they can their production is like 20, 30, 50 times more than, someone coming in that's sort of brand new. And there's nothing wrong with being brand new. We're all brand new. But I'm just like, why not? That's why I always am constantly connecting with influencers. That's just my mindset. As a connector, I'm looking to connect with influencers. Like we have a guy, listen to this. We worked with this guy with our content syndication, okay? Now, he went from 0 followers. This guy's an insurance agent, right? He went from 0 followers to over 60,000 followers on his Facebook fan page in 6 months. Okay. The guy will make about $500,000 in insurance, right? He travels like 4.5 days a week. He's a beast. But what he does is he just talks about his journey he does tons of Facebook Lives, probably 2 a day. And he just talks about his journey when he's on the road, and he gives tips on sales and just gives tips. Been doing that for 6 months, not monetized, right? Then what he does is he goes and he connects with this site, this fan page, and ends up getting ownership of it. Now this fan page, and it's around motivation, inspiration, right? This fan page, the engagement is ridiculous. We're talking about like, I don't know, we're talking like 32 million. I forget what the numbers were. 44 million, like in a week engagement on all the posts. When a meme goes up or when content goes up, I mean, it could get shared thousands and thousands of times. That's how much juice this page has, right? And so now he's just at a point where he's ready to monetize, right? But you look and see what he did in a short amount of time, 6 to 8 months, just providing value, sharing his journey through Facebook Lives. And then, of course, we help syndicate that. And then he'll take specific lives that are really popular, and he'll juice those lives, right? He'll put advertising behind those lives, right, into his target market. That's how he juiced his personal fan page. And then we're applying the same principles to this huge motivational, inspirational fan page that has 44 million. It's just ridiculous, the amount of engagement. I've never been this. It's unreal, right? Like, he can put a meme up and literally in 24 hours, it's been shared like 2,500 times. Like, it's crazy. So you just look at that and you go, how much influence does a guy like that have, right? How much influence can he put out and literally have like thousands of people see that messaging like overnight, right? So, and these types of people are all over the place. It's not like social media is new, right? People have been doing social for a while now. Marketers and athletes and individuals have been doing social a long time now. And it's not hard to go out and do research, because you can see the people's body of work. You can see people engaging with their content. You can kind of gauge what type of following they have and how much influence they have. It's all right in front of your face. It's all there, right? So you don't even have to guess anymore, right? It's not like the old days where you're just like, oh, pick a guy with a nice car and a suit. He's probably got some influence, right? You don't even have to do that. It's all right there in front of you. If you do a little research and you just take a look at what's going on inside of this person's social, and how people are engaging, and what and what they're doing, the content that they're providing to the marketplace, you have a pretty good gauge if that person's an influencer or not. It's all there. I've registered about 30 people in my affiliate program on Forward Duplicating. Yeah, that's about right. So those numbers are actually pretty good, to be honest. 4 out of 30. So that's actually pretty good, David. So guys, this again, it's just something to think about. It's something to think about. It's why I focus on connecting. And I don't think anybody's too big. I don't think anybody's, to me, if someone's out working and building an audience and building a following and, working hard to become an influencer, their mind's a lot more open than to somebody who you're trying to convince, hey, do this because working for someone sucks and I want you to have a better way of life. It's like most people are out trying to convince people that they need something else. And these people aren't, unless they want to change themselves, you're trying to change people that don't want to be changed. So I don't try to deal with people like that. I try to deal with people who are like already open-minded, who are already making moves, who are already trying to make things happen. And then I come in and say, how can I help, or how can I put a situation in front of you to benefit what you're trying to do and benefit you and help monetize what you're doing? So that's the mindset I have. And so it's really a very non-threatening way when I connect and approach and that sort of thing with people. And, one thing I can tell you, if you connect and you're not trying to pitch up front, people will follow you. They'll see what you're about and they'll see what you have going on. And, you can subtly just sort of put something in front of them and educate them. And you know what? Who cares? I don't care if 20 influencers say, hey, I'm not interested in doing any of that. That's fine. All I need is one influencer, right? I've been in deals where, 2 or 3 people have put in tens of thousands of people. So, I am looking for the needles in the haystack because they're there and everyone else isn't. So it's not like you've got 100 of us digging through the haystack for the needle, right? Because everyone else is out, trying to find the sheep. Hey, that was pretty good. But it's true. Everyone's out like herding and hanging out with the sheep, hoping that the sheep jump into what they're doing and then the sheep move on or do what sheep do, right? So I'm in the haystack just going, all right, that's cool. And found one. Thank you. This person just put my, put our product or offering in front of, 25,000 people. Appreciate you. So think different, guys. That's all I got. Hope you guys have a great day. We'll see you when we see you. Bye for now.